Afternoon. Thought we'd just start with last week a little bit or 2 weeks ago, Army. Obviously really disappointed. You know, one of those games where it was a death by 1,000 cuts. They had five fourth downs that they got 4 of, and a lot of those spots were, could have gone either way. And I'm not blaming the officials. I mean, they just were like those kind of spots where it literally could have gone either way in terms of those spots. So frustrated, we had the ball twice in the second half. They kept on eking out those first downs that last drive. I think it took 9.5 minutes off the clock and went 56 yards. So just a tough way to lose. We're 2 one-point games away from being tied for first in this league. But that's this league. I mean, there's so many good teams in this league, and there's so much parity. And, you're going to be in a lot of 50-50 games. And, my job is to find a way for us to win more of those 50-50 games. And, thought we really could use the time, to kind of get healed because we've been pretty banged up. And I think we're getting some guys back now, at least we're fresher. And so, 2 games left. Got senior day, and then we have our last regular season game. These next 2 weeks gives us a chance to play a third week, 2 nationally ranked teams. And so, we have a great opportunity in front of us, and that's what we talked about in our team meeting this morning, was that what a great way to send out our seniors. We have a nationally ranked team coming in here, and, last time to play in the link. So, Tulane's really good. There's a reason why they're nationally ranked. Quarterback's a stud. I was hoping he wasn't as athletic as he is, but boy, he can make you pay if you get out of your lanes. You can pull the ball down, some quarterback draws and those kind of things. Strong arm. Really talented wide receivers. Like it's a really impressive group. They do a great job protecting them. Defensively, they're really physical. John does a great job down there. I think there's a reason why his name's up for every STC job that's available right now. So yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. And again, I think our kids have some confidence in that we've been in. We've played, except East Carolina, who I think is really good. I think that's a real sleeper. I think East Carolina has a chance to win this whole thing. That's how good I think East Carolina is. And obviously they were coming off with 16 days of rest. Except for that game, we played everyone in our conference pretty much toe-to-toe. And so, again, be a great way to, get to bowl eligibility, and also a great way to thank our seniors on the way out. So, questions?
Just one follow-up on Army. Did Carl maybe slip on that first goal attempt?
Yeah, exactly. So his foot just, that's why he hit the ball so poorly, because I have such confidence in Carl. And we felt we had to play by 7s more than 3s. And unfortunately, a couple times we got down there and we kind of left ourselves in that 1/4 and low longer than we liked. And we kicked the field goal to make it 14-13. Figured we're going to get the ball back a couple more times, and we didn't. We got the ball back really one more time. So, yeah, it was typical Army football, death by 1,000 cuts, where, you take off that much time and you go 56 yards. I mean, that's mind-boggling. They're literally getting every first down by 6 inches. But I have a lot of confidence in Carl, and I think he's one of the best kickers in the country. And, if it would come down to us kicking a long field goal at the end, no question, we would have gone with that.
How did you handle this bye week any differently than you handled the first bye week with the guys?
A little bit, yeah. I gave him another day off. So we didn't make anything mandatory on Friday. Like, we didn't have them come in and lift on Friday. After Thursday's practice, it was like, go to classes. Classes are mandatory, but nothing with football. And so we gave them off like a full day Friday, full day Saturday. Sunday, a lot of guys came in and got their own, workout in. They have an option of lifting on Sunday or Monday. Sunday's optional. So, but a lot of guys came in Sunday to get that workout in. So just gave them some more time down. Mondays, because we're coming off the Get Better week, it's a longer practice. So we're out there more like 19, 20 periods instead of the 12 periods that we are normally on a Monday. So we got a lot of extra work in today towards Tulane. during the week, last week, we got a good session of young guns, young guys scrimmage against each other, which was really good. And we got a lot of good versus good work that we don't normally get as much during the season. So we got some good versus good, got the young guns, got some good 2-minute drills, those kind of things. So, but as much as anything, we really needed to get ourselves as healthy as possible and fresh as possible. So we definitely gave them an extra day off.
This is your first senior class here. What have they meant to you in
Yeah.
helping with the transition?
And I spoke about that, in the team meeting today. Like, it's really hard for a group of seniors when a new coach comes in. It's their senior year. They have no idea what they're walking into. There has to be some trust developed real early, or it can be a really long season. And they learn to trust me pretty quickly, and I learned to trust them. So, they've been awesome. They've been awesome. And like I said, I think one of the most powerful things I did was spend 4.5 days meeting every single player and talking to them and kind of going through their time here at Temple and trying to find out what makes this place. And they stayed because they wanted this education. They stayed because they love this place. These guys stayed because their common theme was they wanted to get this thing fixed. To me, helping move towards getting this thing fixed isn't 5 wins. To me, helping getting this thing fixed is us going to a bowl. That's kind of where my minimum standard is. So so I really badly want to get us to bowl eligibility for those seniors. And there's a bunch of them too. I think we have 30 or so. So it's a big group.
You talked about getting the team healthy. No, Seeker didn't play against Army. Saw him that he was in Rangers today, but didn't really participate.
Yeah.
Out there with him.
Yeah, so he's going to be a kind of a game time decision, I think. It's just he's still battling through some injuries. It's been disappointing because, not having 2 of your best defensive linemen against Army, because the Merrick didn't play either, and that's not a team you can be shy defensive linemen. You need be rolling guys in. I feel just so disappointed for him because he showed some flashes of greatness there. Like, all conference type of player, those kind of things. And then he's just been really slowed down with, a couple shoulders. It's it's mainly the right one right now. But, so anyway, I think he's going to be kind of I know how badly he wants to play. And I think it's going to be kind of a day by day. And both he and Demerick warmed up for West Point, at West Point against Army. And, they couldn't go. And Demerick had gotten leg whipped, and so in the game before, and so his calf was all blown up, and he tried his best, but he's back out there 100% now. So Seku's the guy that we're still waiting to find out, what the next 2 weeks look like.
And also saw K-Wit didn't practice today either. Do you have
Yeah, more of a cold, more of that kind of thing. It's we had a little bit of the flu going around, so I had my athletic trainer in and talk about washing hands and. Just like if you get any symptoms at all, let us know now. And also, if you have any symptoms, make sure you kind of keep yourself separate from your roommates. And we had a whole quad go down. One got it, then the next got it, then the next got it. So fortunately, we've kind of seen that, and hopefully we're getting ahead of it. But actually, that's how we started off the first part of my meeting was, the trainer came in and said, okay, got a little flu going around. This is how we're going to handle it. So.
What Evan in particular, how has he maybe helped you accelerate the timeline a little bit, both with his leadership and his play on the field, just at that position?
Well, and just the circumstances that led to him, being the starter. Wasn't the starter coming out of spring practice. We wanted to bring someone in to compete against him. He didn't blink. Goes down to media day and asked about, him being the starter. It's like, oh no, he's here to represent us in media day, but he's competing for the starting job. Didn't blink. Goes into the first game, and it's like, hey, listen, you guys had a heck of a battle out there. We're gonna play both of you. You'll get the first start, but we're gonna go from there. Didn't blink. I think when guys see that gives you such credibility. Plus, I don't know if there's a tougher player on this team. The hits that he takes and what he puts his body through, he's truly amazing. And no one could tell you that. You had to kind of live through it. It kind of just, happened. And I feel so good for him because he did it the right way. He wasn't knocking on anyone's door saying, hey, what are you guys doing? He was like, I'll earn it, you know, and it was a heck of a battle during training camp. And I don't think any of us knew how this whole thing was gonna work out. And so it's, you know, it's rewarding when you see players like that. It's like, he could have played back in the 70s with me. You know, it's like that mentality. Like, you never question. Like, that's just who we were back then. Like, you're the coach, I'm the player, yes sir. That's the way he is. I mean, he's just been remarkable. And I think when you have a guy like that, it works through the whole building, you know. And no, and you know, he's going to be one of those guys that, boy, thank God we had him during this transition. And that's what we talked about. It's tough when you're a senior and all of a sudden a new guy comes in. And you know, it doesn't even matter what was going on before I got in. It's just that a lot of times you just don't want change. This is my senior year, I don't want change. And you know, I think in a short period of time we bridged the gaps, and I think we, you know, came to respect each other and like each other, and you know, they've been a really good senior class for me. It's been rewarding having them, you know, go through this journey with me.
What have you even seen from Tulane in the last few weeks? For as good as they've been, wasn't more than a few weeks ago, they lose a game, they miss their quarterback, and they come back on the road and beat a really good Memphis team, so they're still really good, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
have their moments too. How far, when you have extra time to prepare, how far back do you go in the
Yeah,
fall?
oh, you go all the way back, I mean, because we have the extra time. And if you look at this league, boy, I mean, it's really impressive, you know? And I kept on saying for a while, like, East Carolina might be as good as any of these guys, and they beat East Carolina early in the season. So, I think that's the nature of the fact that it's the Power Four, it's the American. And it's really evident it's the American. And the only thing that should stop the American from, you know, getting a team in that final is a season that Boise had last year. You know, if you have one of those unusual years where just someone's so dominant outside of, but it's so obvious that this is the best conference. When you watch on TV, you can just see the difference. So, yeah, and again, you know, we're sitting here 2 1-point losses away from the academies from being tied for first. And so I use that in one way to say, hey guys, we're right there. I use it against myself saying, like, I need to find a way. I do a lot of, I call it post-mortem, like after the game, like what could I have done better? And, or as, when this whole thing's over the season, I'll really take a hard look, like what things do I need to do to get those 1-point wins? Because if I'm not willing to look at myself, then those guys aren't gonna look at themselves. And I'm talking about every coach, every player, every scout, every, you know, general manager, operations guy, chief of staff. I mean, I want them all to look like, how can we make this whole place better? And so, yeah, I have to find some things. I think I have some things that will change for next year in an effort to find those, you know, those 1 points, because literally coming down to single plays. And you got to find a way to be better on that one single play to, you know, get yourself that win. So, yeah, it's been rewarding, but at the same time been frustrating because, you know, we're right there, and we just didn't get it done.
You personally have had a lot of success after extended break. So what does that say about your coaching philosophy going into the body?
Yeah, I just think that, you know, you don't like stick to a strict pattern. I think every team's a little bit different, you know, what they need at that time. And I think what our team needed was that extra day off. And so we built that extra day off for them because, again, it's late in the year, we're banged up. Tough loss, wanted to kind of get away from it a little bit, you know, give them a couple days where they can just be kids. And then Roy come back, and you know, that was our talk again this morning, was like, we owed to each other to finish out the next, we had 12 days left. 12 days left in the season. Like, where to go? But we owe it to each other the next 12 days if nothing else is gonna be a distraction, other than us trying to win this game. And all around the country, there's distractions right now. You know, I mean, everyone's like wants to get involved in the business side. You know, the amount of stuff going on behind the scenes with people trying to pilfer our players. It's just unconscionable. And so, like I told them, I said, like, listen, we'll get to the business side of this once the season's over. But like with me, let's do justice to the senior class, and let's focus on trying to become you know, bowl eligible and going and winning, you know, beating two teams that are nationally ranked. So, yeah, it was, those are the kind of things we talked about, you know, in the team meeting this morning.
So this might be sort of a moot point or a question, because I don't think Saturday's supposed to be 32 degrees or something. But did you have guys at Sam Houston State, like South Texas guys? You played plenty of playoff games, I'm sure, in the Northeast. You know, similar to Tulane, a lot of down south guys coming up here for what maybe blustery at least.
Yeah,
Did
so
you have guys who were
I-
impacted by that, or you looked at it after the game, where everybody's like, okay, I'm ready to go regardless? But then, do you see
Yeah,
guys?
you gotta remember, at Sam Houston, like, it'd be 50 degrees and I have a hoodie on and gloves and, yeah, I think my blood had thinned or whatever. And that's why I think the players were so shocked that I left. They're like, you hate the cold. But yeah, I remember playing Villanova in a playoff game, and it was one of those cold, blustery days. And I told my guys, I said, we're gonna have to man up now. I know you're not used to this. And we ended up beating Villanova at their place. It was a great game. But yeah, I don't think there's gonna be that. I don't think the weather's gonna be that extreme. But like we were out in it today. I mean, you have to get used to it. Like if it's the first time you've ever really been in this kind of weather, it does bother you. But I don't think it's supposed to be that bad on Saturday.
As much as you've talked about the bowl eligibility, I mean, how do you deal with, you know, you only have a couple more opportunities here, and probably also feeling that you should have gotten it by now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, again, we 2 opportunities where we're 1 point away, and we didn't get that done. And you know, it's a combination of, you have to be honest with yourself and look at what just happened, but then you really have to just let it behind and move forward. And so that's something I try to, like, as the leader of this place, I'm like, listen, we're not gonna duck this. Like, there's reasons why that I think we should have found that one extra play. And here are some things that we need to keep on improving on. Okay, let's move on and try to beat, you know, Tulane. So, yeah, I've seen too many coaches just sort of do this when things don't go their way. I try to have a lot of honesty with our guys, you know. And I'll just give you one example. I think our practice level has jumped dramatically from where we once were to where we are now. It's not where I want it to be though. I want it to be at a totally different level. And that's where you pick up those one plays. That's where you know, you're 6 inches better in the right spot because you understood exactly how you're supposed to come down and fill that gap, and all of a sudden they don't get the first down or whatever it may be. So it's a fine line I walk. You know, part of it is some brutal honesty where, you know, we could have found ways to get that. I know you've improved in your practice preparation, but there's things still mentally that I'm asking you to do that we're not there yet. We've done a great job. Let's move forward and see if we can get better this week. So, but I do try to give them a lot of honesty when it comes to, like, how can we get better?
One of the sort of observations here, 10 games in, is on offense. Maybe I was asking if there's something to this, that, you know, if you had like a speed guy, right, somebody could take that is that one element that you could really add and would have made a
you
difference?
know, I think a complimentary back to Duck would be good. Having JoJo completely healthy, I think, would have helped also. So yeah, and you know, my teams at Sam Houston always had a lot of speed, and my teams at Delaware my teams at Rowan always had unbelievable speed. So I think that's the one ingredient that we still want to keep on adding to in terms of, you know, what we can do with this offense. And even on defense, you know, we want to add some more speed to the back end defensively. So yeah, the speed is definitely something that we need to, you know, continue to try to recruit.
Was a guy like Kevin Mason, is he that guy for you as close as you have to it right now? Like,
He
what does the
might
bye
be.
week do for him?
Yeah.
Or-
So I think as you see, Kavion's role has just grown, and I anticipate it's going to continue to grow. And you know, he's a young back that has a lot of talent, and like I could see his role growing as the next 2 games unfold.
What have you seen from Tulane that's different from the other ranked opponents that you faced before?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been a toughness about them, and I think because they've had a recent history here of success, I think they're a team that, like, you know, if you get them down, they're gonna fight their way back. But interestingly, they've been very inconsistent. And I think that probably frustrates their coaching staff, because there's times when, against Memphis, dominated Memphis. And then all of a sudden, like, they kind of, you know, Roy fell off, you know, the second half. I think they've been a little erratic, and I think that frustrates, you know, the coaching staff. But like, when they put it together, oof, they're as good as anyone in the league when they put it all together. And just some of that consistency they've lacked. But again, you know, they're fighting for a chance to go win this conference and, you know, get in the national playoff. And I think, I don't know, whether 22nd or whatever in the country. And there's a reason why, because, you know, they played a really tough out-of-conference schedule, and, you know, they beat Duke and they beat Northwestern. They beat Boise also? Was that?
USF beat Boise.
Oh, the USF beat Boise. Okay, so they beat Northwestern. They beat Duke. I mean, that's two pretty impressive wins out of conference. So yeah, this is a team that traditionally has been really physical, and like I said, I think, you know, getting the quarterback late, you know, he's really kind of taken them to a different level, because he can sling it now. And again, I wish he wasn't as good an athlete as he is. When he pulls the ball down, he can get north-south on you real quick.
Did you, over the course of the season, did you have any consideration of additional single digits?
Yeah, we actually did. And then we just felt that we hadn't gotten to there yet, but we definitely did talk about it. And it just was like, we didn't really feel the benefit was there of adding a single digit, because it wasn't so overt that you say, yeah, we got to make this guy single digit right now. So yeah, but we had those discussions, and I promised the team I would do that. I promised the team that we would have some discussions in the leadership council, or just have some discussions with the staff. But ultimately, we decided not to. But we did have those discussions.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.